A man is forced to take a day off from work to appear for a minor traffic summons. He grows increasingly restless as he is forced to wait hour after hour for his case to be heard. When his name is finally called, it's late in the afternoon. He stands before the judge, only to hear that court will be adjourned for the rest of the afternoon and he will have to return the next day. "What for? I've been waiting all day!" he snaps at the judge in a moment of bad judgment. The judge is equally irked by the sharp query and says,
$20 for contempt of court. That's why.
As the man reaches for his wallet, the judge relents.
That's all right. You don't have to pay right now.
The young man replies, "I'm just checking if I have enough for 2 more words." It's the last day of kindergarten and all the children bring presents for their teacher. The florist's son is the first to hand her his gift. She shakes it, holds it up, and says,
"I bet I know what it is. It's some flowers."
"That's right,"
shouts the little boy. Then the candy store owner's daughter hands the teacher a gift. She holds it up, shakes it, and says,
"I bet I know what it is. It's a box of candy."
"That's right,"
shouts the little girl. The next gift is from the liquor store owner's son, little Johnny. The teacher holds it up and sees that it is leaking. She touches a drop with her finger and tastes it.
"Is it wine?"
she asks.
"No."
Says little Johnny. The teacher touches another drop to her tongue.
"Is it juice?"
she asks.
"No."
Repeats little Johnny. Finally, the teacher says,
"Okay, I give up. What is it?"
Little Johnny beams.
"A puppy."
A police officer comes upon a terrible accident. It appears there are no survivors. As he looks upon the wreckage, a little monkey comes out of the brush and hops around the wreckage. The officer looks down at the monkey and says,
I wish you could talk.
The monkey looks back up at the officer and nods his head up and down.
You can understand what I'm saying?
Asks the officer. Again, the monkey nods his head up and down.
Well, did you see this?
He asks. The monkey nods his head up and down.
What happened?
Asks the officer. The monkey pretends to have a can in his hand and turns it up to his mouth.
Oh, they were drinking,
asks the officer.
What else?
The monkey taps his fingers on his palm.
They were texting?
Asks the officer.
Now wait,
the officer continues.
Are you saying your owners were drinking and texting before they wrecked?
The monkey nods his head up and down. The officer asks,
What were you doing during all this?
The monkey holds his arms up and motions. Driving. 3 men are sitting directly behind 3 nuns at a baseball game. They can't see the game because the nuns' habits are partially blocking their view. So the men decide to badger the nuns, hoping that they'd get annoyed enough to move to another area. In a very loud voice, the first guy says,
I think I'm gonna move to Utah. There are only about 100 nuns living there.
The second guy speaks up and says,
How about Mississippi? There are probably less than 50 nuns there.
The third guy says,
No, Maine would be much better. It would be almost impossible to find a nun in Maine.
One of the nuns coolly turns around, looks at the men, and in a very sweet and calm voice says,
How about a place where there are no nuns at all? Why don't you just go to hell?
Airman Jones is assigned to the onboarding center where he advises new recruits about their government benefits, especially the GI life insurance policy. It isn't long before Captain Smith notices that Airman Jones has a staggeringly high success rate, selling insurance policies to nearly 100% of the recruits he advised. Curious, the captain stands in the back of the room and listens to Airman Jones' sales pitch. Jones explains the basics of the GI life insurance policy to the new recruits. He then adds, If you buy this insurance and die in battle, the government will pay $200,000 to your beneficiaries. If you don't have this insurance, the government only has to pay out a maximum of $6,000. Now, he concludes, think very carefully. Who do you think they're going to send into battle first? A couple were invited to a Halloween masquerade party. That night, the wife got a terrible headache and told her husband to go to the party alone. He, being a devoted husband, protested. But she argued and said she was going to take some aspirin and go to bed and that he should go alone and enjoy himself. So he took his costume and away he went. The wife, after sleeping soundly for about an hour, woke without pain, and as it was still early, she decided to go to the party. As her husband didn't know what her costume was, she thought she would have some fun by watching her husband to see how he acted when she was not with him. So she joined the party and soon spotted her husband in his costume, cavorting around on the dance floor, dancing with every girl he could, copping a little kiss here and there. His wife went up to him, and being a rather seductive woman herself, he left his new partner high and dry and devoted his time to her instead. She let him go as far as he wished, naturally, since he was her husband. After a few more drinks, he finally whispered a little proposition in her ear, and she agreed, so off they went to one of the cars and had some fun in the back seat. Just before unmasking at midnight, she slipped away, went home, put the costume away, and got into bed, wondering what kind of explanation he would make up for his outrageous behavior. She was sitting up reading when he came in, so she asked how his night was.
Oh, the same old thing. You know, I never have a good time when you're not there.
Uh-huh,
She said.
did you dance much?
He replied,
To tell you the truth, I never even danced one dance. When I got there, I met Pete, Bill Brown, and some other guys, so we just went into the spare room and played poker all evening. But the guy who borrowed my costume said he had the time of his life.
An old man, a boy, and a donkey are going to town. The boy rides on the donkey as the old man walks beside them. Soon, they pass some people who remark that it's a shame the old man is walking and the boy is riding. The old man and the boy think maybe the critics are right, so they change positions. Later, they pass another group of people that remark that it's a shame the old man makes the little boy walk. So the old man and the boy decide they will both walk. A while later, they pass more people who think they are stupid to walk when they have a decent donkey to ride. So they both hop on the donkey. Next, they pass some people that shame them by telling them how awful it is to put such a load on a poor donkey. The old man and the boy agree they're probably right, so they decide to carry the donkey. As they cross a bridge, they lose their grip on the donkey and it falls into the river and drowns. The old man turns to the boy and says, "Well, I guess if you try to please everyone, you can kiss your ass goodbye." A redneck is hiking through the woods with two Native Americans. As they come across a cave, one of the natives yells, "Whoop, whoop!" Another voice calls from the cave, "Whoop, whoop!" The native then strips out of his clothes and runs into the cave.
What was that all about?
Asks the redneck. The other native explains,
It's our mating ritual. A woman who is ready to mate will wait in a cave. If we come across a cave, we yell inside. If we hear a call back, we know we can go in and meet with her.
A few minutes later, they come across another cave. The remaining native yells, "Whoop, whoop!" Another voice calls from the cave, "Whoop, whoop!" Without hesitation, the second native takes off his clothes and runs inside. Now all alone, the redneck continues on his way. Eventually, he comes across a very large cave.
There must be a large, beautiful woman in there.
He thinks to himself.
Whoop, whoop!
He calls out. A very loud whoop, whoop comes from the cave.
Wow, she's got a voice.
He thinks.
Sounds like she's larger and beautifuler than I imagined.
He strips off his clothes and runs into the cave. The next day, the headline in the local newspaper reads,
Naked redneck run over by train.